To the Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdant. We got a quick practice report for you. Brian Kelly just hopped off the podium, gave us a couple of nuggets of information. We got some offensive information for you, a little bit of defensive notes. Special teams kind of got a light shown on it today during our open period. We won't be back at practice again until Wednesday, but we do have that LSU football practice highlight video out now for you. So right after the stream, get off, hop in there, check it out, watch our breakdown. But for the quick report, Brian Kelly was talking about the DBs and just, the group that you've been seeing out there, the group that has been on the practice, highlight video footage, or just a group that we've kind of been giving you intel on. That's the people that they're preparing for USC. There's not going to be much changes. There's not going to be much rotation swings. Those are going to be your guys that you're going to have to get used to and kind of just, put all your chips on, quite frankly. He talked a little bit about Jacoby and Gillerin, just, the growth that he's seen in him, the maturity that he's seen in him. He even, said at first, he wasn't the best football player that we had on our team, and then now obviously he's going to be one of the bigger staples on that defensive line. So just kind of watching him grow end over end was very interesting. Now for the Garrett Dellinger center situation, in our highlight video we were talking about Garrett Dellinger taking center snaps. Well, DJ Chester wasn't at practice today, so a couple of stomach bugs going around, Brian Kelly said. You had the Weeks brothers sick. You saw Bo Bordelon get sick today at practice, and then now apparently DJ Chester is sent home. So for the time being, Garrett Dellinger will man the center position. We saw him do it the entire practice today. We can talk about it being cross-training. We can talk about it being, good depth at that position. Whatever the case may be, they've got a next man up. Hypothetically, was there issues with the snaps at times? Of course, there's going to be a play in the highlight video where Garrett Nussmeier almost drops one and then hands it off to Caleb Jackson. Coach Kelly said the snapping doesn't necessarily come easy to Garrett Dellinger. He's going to have to kind of work on it and whatnot, but, he shined a little bit of light on the relationship that they had. He recruited Garrett when he was at Notre Dame and, just kind of talking about the familiarity between the two. So it makes sense as to why Coach Kelly trusts him, but it's definitely going to be a situation you're going to have to watch and monitor going forward, because if DJ Chester does inevitably go down and you do put Garrett Dellinger in, Tyree Adams is going to slide over to the other guard spot, and then you're going to have a center who isn't really a center. And I mean, if you have to do it, you have to do it. And I'm not saying, it's terrible, but what I am saying is it's not what you planned. It's not the DJ Chester 6'6" center that you had inevitably thought you were going to have. Now, does he come back before game week? I'd imagine. They said that they start USC prep on Tuesday. We'll be in there on Wednesday. So, that'll be the finalized lineups if you ask me. For injury news, there's kind of a minor injury for LSU. It's kind of going to be a little bit of a heartbreak a little bit, but it's nothing major. I think he'll be back pretty soon with what Coach Kelly told us. But Chris Hilton Jr. had a little bit of an ankle roll. He kind of got put off to the side. Didn't really want to, push the issue, and it makes sense. You're really playing with fire here when you've got your wide receiver 2 spraining ankles in fall camp, especially someone like Chris Hilton, who could be a wide receiver 1. Now, you've got depth at the wide receiver spot. You're not really exactly going to hit the panic button and worry, but you don't want someone's special season to be ended because they tweaked their ankle during practice. On the offensive side of things, you see Josh Williams really take a hold of that running back 1 spot. He's had a lot of looks all camp long. Seems like this is going to be the direction that they go in. And for the backup running back, for running back 2, it seems like it could be John Emery, but there's a good chance that they could throw Caleb Jackson out there in the mix as well, because you saw him today take several reps from that running back 2 spot. You even saw him take reps in the passing game, which kind of confused me because you wouldn't have thought that he would be there. Maybe an asset in the pass blocking, sure, but this dude was out here running a flat, ready to catch a football. So they're mixing him in a lot of different looks, a lot of different schemes. Like we said, Garrett Dellinger at center. So I'm wondering if you have to start him at center. Does that change much of the game plan? Do you still rely on the run game? Do you still, have that same trust in the offensive line? Drop your take in the chat. Everyone's talking about LSU having the best offensive line. Everybody's talking about the potential of this line. Does the potential change if you make a change at center? Does that kind of put a damper on things, at least in your opinion? Moving on to the defense, P.J. Woodland got him a pick, got him an interception, grabbed it out the sky. I believe it was on Garrett Nussmeier. Coach Baker was right there, front and center. P.J. almost smushed us after reeling it in. And he's been showing flashes of that capability all camp long. Now, his biggest drawback is just that he's going to be a little bit on the smaller side. But all in all, he's got about everything else you would want in a corner. And he's been making big plays as well. So shout out PJ Woolen. I think he's going to be a name to really, really remember on this LSU secondary, at least for the, foreseeable future. Another member that kind of had a little bit of a hiccup today, Jordan Allen. He had a little bit of a, questionable decision to press CJ Daniels. It looks like he goes inside. CJ kind of makes a miss, cuts on a little bit of it looked like a mid post or something. And Sage Ryan is trying to round it out and go over the top, and CJ Daniels comes in with a nice grab. But with Jordan Allen, and just we've seen Major Burns try to do it on CJ as well. I would 100% avoid any type of close range pressing or any type of just close range coverage for the secondary group for the time being. Like, I don't know if that's going to be the strong suit. I don't know if they're trying to iron out the kinks with it, but all in all, the defense looks like it's coming along. They had some good, decent plays. They had some good stops with the defensive line punch and the running back and just beating that offensive line down. They've been having an even matchup, so to speak. Now, is there times where the offense looks light years ahead? Yeah, but there's also some times when the defense is, chiming back in and kind of jumping back into the mix. We got Rylan in the chat asking, is the injury serious and is the sickness serious? So with the sickness, it's more like a stomach bug. A lot of players are getting it. There's been a handful of guys. Coach Kelly said Emory Jones, Bo Bordelon, DJ Chester, Weston Witt Weeks. A lot of people have been getting it. Some people have been having to go home. Some people have kind of been powering through it. But I don't think it'll be serious in a sense where it's going to, hinder them for 2 weeks before the game. Now, the injury for Chris Hilton, we don't have much information on it. All we have is that he was put to the side just to play it safe, just to kind of not make it worse than what it could be. We'll continue to monitor that. We'll see if he's back on practice at Wednesday. That'll be the next practice that we're out for. It's just one of those things, though. You don't want to see anybody get banged up and get thrown out of a potential big year, because Chris Hilton Jr., I think, had about, as big a potential as anybody. Of course, your Kyron Lacey's are going to have a year, and your Caleb Jacksons could have a big breakout season. But Chris Hilton Jr. was another name in the hat that, quite frankly, I saw having potential to even go to the NFL after one good season here this year. And it's not to say he hadn't done much. It's just to say that the potential and the capabilities that he had and he possessed could have been, very, very helpful. Now, I'm not trying to say that Chris Hilton won't be playing, and I'm not trying to say that this is a horrible injury. What I am trying to say, though, is that it's not something that you're exactly, thrilled to have 14 days before your week 1 matchup against USC in Las Vegas. You really wanted to have everything in your arsenal. You didn't want to have to worry about Chris Hilton and his rolled up ankle. You didn't want to have to worry about all these things, but it's fall camp. It happens. USC, by the same token, has some injuries as well. We talked to you about it on Friday or yesterday. Elijah Page, their left tackle, had a rolled ankle, and he's back in practice. So it happens sometimes. Sometimes you just have to, tape that damn thing up and just push through it. It's football. I'm not thrilled that it happened, like we said, but I think that, it'll be able to be something that they can utilize and that they can kind of just move toward on. Special teams, you kind of, this is another one of those instances where injuries are kind of, making their way into the situation. You saw Jelani Watkins roll his ankle about a week ago. He's walking around practice in a boot, and that's one less returner that you had at that position, or at that race at least. Now you have Zay Thomas, Aaron Anderson, and Kyle Parker kind of playing for it. I think Zay and Aaron are your runaway candidates. Zay Thomas looks really good. Aaron Anderson had his moments. Aaron Anderson did drop a punt, so I know that one is going to automatically rule him out in some people's eyes. But, with the special teams unit that we've seen, if you can just, at least on the punt side, get the ball down the field and pin them past the 25, like give them a little bit of a, shittier field position than they would have had, you're going to be in a little bit better situation comparatively to just having a punter willy-nilly slinging things all over the field and kind of, chewing off a potential 2 first downs they would have had to get if the coverage gets busted or if the return is successful. The special team side of things could really help LSU out in the long run, because all those close games you have, all those moments where, your defense kind of exposed you last year, your special teams can kind of facilitate and ease the pain a little bit. If you get any type of action, any type of explosiveness on that side of the ball, it's a game changer for LSU, because it's been kind of dormant recently. And special teams is hard to be elite on. You've got to have depth around the entire team But I think at this point in LSU's tenure under Brian Kelly, this is the deepest they've been in the skill position room. We are talking about so many wide receivers, so many running backs all the time. Let's throw another running back's name in the hat, Caden Durham. We talked about him potentially seeing the field, and we kind of are ranking, the freshman that we thought could play. I think he's got a better shot to play than a Dominic McKinley. He obviously, Trudez Green will see the field, so that's a lock at number one. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Caden Durham get thrown out there. He's been put in a lot of situations at practice, and he's not bad, especially when you're just handing him a ball off and trying to get him to fall forward for a first down. I think if you've got question marks about anything, it shouldn't be the skill position room on either way, running back, wide receiver, what have you. That should directly play into special teams, because now you've got to lock down wide receiver 1, 2, and 3. All those other pieces that you could have sprinkled in, the Aaron, the Zay, the Kyle, now they might be able to find their role, find their home. Do you want to throw them all out there, multiple different people, multiple different situations? No, you kind of want to find your guy and just stick him in that role and not pluck him out of it, because once you find a good one, you kind of want to keep the consistency and the continuity across that whole side of the ball, or at least that whole position. I guess I wouldn't really call special teams a side of the ball, but if they could somehow utilize all of the depth that won't necessarily see the field, like an Aaron Anderson maybe, or Kyle Parker maybe, I think Zay Thomas is going to get reps. I think Zay Thomas has a lot of potential, a lot of upside. You've seen him line up wide and kind of take some people for a ride, like an Ashton Stamp. So it's just like those type of moments and flashes during camp have to have, won somebody over, at least in the coaching room. We got Thomas and Jackson as returners. I'd like to see Anderson, but we all know Muff gets you benched permanently. Yeah, one mistake. I mean, and I'm not going to say that Muff in a football is the Achilles heel of a football player, but at times, it's hard to come back from. Malik Neighbors did it. Malik Neighbors muffed too, and he did it. But you're going to have to climb and fight to get back to the top, so to speak. I think Zay Thomas is really, really good. I wouldn't want to put Jackson out there just simply because you could use him a lot more. And that's kind of the same thing I say with Zay Thomas. It's just like, could you do both? Of course, yeah, but you might be better off just being a dedicated wide receiver and letting somebody else be the returner that, might have not been a dedicated wide receiver, might have not saw as much role, might have not saw as much time. It's just my take on it. But it's probably going to be it for the practice report today. Didn't have much. For the first, we had 3 periods that we were in there filming. For the first 2 periods, it was special teams work. Last period, you saw a little bit of a scrimmage. Then we kind of hopped out. We will be back at practice on Wednesday, though. We're going to be going live on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We've been doing that around lunchtime, so don't miss that one on Monday. Practice report on Wednesday. It'll be the final highlight video for fall camp. The final one, the final look into LSU's practice on Wednesday. So do not miss it. Real quick before we hop off, though, thank you to our guys at Happy Dad for making this possible, for all the recent support during the summer. It's the best taste of hard seltzer on the market. It's low in sugar, gluten-free. Y'all know where to get it at: Rouse's, Walmart, Albertsons. Y'all go and get your groceries. Go take a stop down the liquor aisle. Go take a stop. Look at Happy Dad. Tell them the Verdict sent you. Appreciate the support again. Like we said, thank you to all y'all for been tuning into the stream so consistently. We're going to keep it up. We're going to be going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday this week at around 11 to 12. We will be making a time change on the 26th when school starts. We will be, kind of flipping it, changing it, trying to make it a little more easy. We might do 1:30. We might do a morning stream. I'll put a poll up, let y'all vote. Let y'all pick what you think the best one is. But appreciate everybody for joining. Shout out Mr. Relaford. Nice meeting you earlier today at practice. Wanted to give you a little shout out at the end of this stream. So go watch our highlight video. We just dropped it. Practice highlights today. Last one on Wednesday. Going live on Monday. Y'all be there. Hit the like button. Y'all have a good weekend.